There is a very big difference in weight between these two lenses. Do you know exactly what the difference is between the original and the version 2 here?
You're looking at about 30% lighter, so it's basically a pound in difference between the 70-200 GM Mark II and the Mark I.
Okay.
But you can see here physically, they're both around the same size, but to lose a pound on there,
yeah,
that's something
really,
that's just impressive across the board.
They're practically the exact same length, and I mean, even just picking them up, you can feel pretty immediately that the newer version is significantly lighter, and not even that, it's weighted a lot closer to the camera as well.
Yeah, it's got that weight, it's more center based inside there, and a lot of that, it's great for people who are going off and shooting, but also for videographers right now. All the weight is going to be balanced in one section. And if you look on the Mark II as well, you'll see it's like there's some more things there for videographers. You do have the click, declick for the aperture ring. You do have iris lock on there as well. This is all put together in such a body, and the power of now having 4 XD linear motors in here. That's also why not only are you getting this savings in weight, but you're getting all this speed coming back as well.
And if I'm not mistaken, those are the same motors that I had in the 24mm G lens, the 40mm G lens, and the 50mm G lens.
Yep.
And at least, yeah, with those, I mean, the autofocus performance on those is fantastic.
From the improvements of already what the Mark I was, which was a fine lens all on its own, this just kicked it up that much more. Right. This is something that all the tech of the lenses you just mentioned that we've been pumping out, it's now been put into the 70-200, but it's the weight. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing when holding it. And right now when you pair that with a body, it is just so much easier to hold and to carry. You want to try it out on the A1? Because, I mean, that is one good way to check out a lens, right? Because one of those right now, just right off the bat.
I mean, that's not even moving. Look at that there. And now this might sound like a bit of a ridiculous point, but I do love the new hood. Obviously, the original one is one that we rent out a lot here at Allen's, and of course, just being able to put this down when you're showing it to somebody and not have to worry about that little bit of jostle or that little bit of movement.
No little movement on the counter, no catching. The throw of going from 70 to 200,
oh wow,
it's very tight.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, you don't really have to reposition as you're kind of making adjustments to the zoom.
All
there.
one fluid movement for there coming through. There's no real focus breathing coming through on there either. That's why when Sony put this lens together, it wasn't just, hey, we're going to update the 70 to 200 for our still photographers. Videographers were very much in mind.
I will say that declick switch, at least for me, coming from a video background, I mean, that means a lot, especially when I need to land somewhere in between one of those third stops just to kind of nail exposure the way I want it to. I mean, that's huge for me.
Well, I mean, coming from your video background as well, I mean, you've already told me you're very happy with all the switches that are on here.
Yeah.
This is more control that you'll have physically on there, but it's very easy on there for the switch. There's no accidental hits coming through. The declick that's on there.
And this with even a 1.4 teleconverter, I mean, that's got to be a pretty superb experience, I'm sure.
You're going to look at how this compare out, because it'll take both the 1.4 and the 2 times teleconverter. And in this case, with that weight balance, this is going to be a very favorable thing no matter what you're shooting. Sports, birds, nature, even in the video. This has everything really across the board of what you're looking for, and it's going to maximize with its XD linear motors in here what this can do on the A1.
Yeah.
30 frames per second. The 120 AFA, it's like, this is one of those lenses where like that's what this camera was really made to max out with.
And you can even tell just by playing around with the autofocus that the second you track onto something with this, I mean, there is no delay that you're receiving from the lens between these two items. If you're a sports shooter, if you're a documentary shooter, if you got to run around with this lens a little bit, I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better option than this.
Well, having it as an option, but also it's just, I mean, I keep coming back to the weight, but it's one of those, like, when you have a 70-200, usually this is where I'm holding it. Mm-hmm. I'm very comfortable just like this.
Yeah.
There's none of that weight really coming through. All the weight is balanced right here. So even if we put on a teleconverter, it's still going to have the weight all in one spot. It's never going to get forward heavy. That's what's making this right now the lightest 70-200 2.8 for a full frame that's out there. And fitting this in the bag, I mean, I can't still believe this is the same size as the original coming through. It's doing it all, and it's, in all honesty, everything I'd want in a lens has been put together here, and it's priced just right.